For close to a century, Empire Ranch in Sonoyta, Arizona flourished, starting with a 4-bedroom adobe structure around 1871 and later ending with an extraordinary 29-room ranch home. Worries of potential Apache Indian raids when they began, to eventually successfully grazing and caring for multitudes of cattle and horses on the lush grasses of the Sonoyta Valley. Today we'll tell you about the families who owned and operated Empire Ranch beginning around 1871. Then we'll walk you through each room describing their varied uses from 1871 and later. The Empire Ranch house originated as a simple, flat-roofed 4-room house, constructed of hand-cast adobe blocks between 1871 and 1874. Located on a 160-acre homestead, in August 1876 it was sold by Edward Nye Fish and Simon Silverberg to Walter L. Vail and Herbert R. Hislop. Walter hailed from New Jersey and Herbert was from London, England. John N. Harvey, an Englishman born in Bermuda, joined the partnership 2 months later. Herbert Hislop left the partnership in 1878. Walter's brother Edward Ned Vail became a partner in 1879. John Harvey remained until 1881. That same year, Walter married Margaret Newhall, and she came to live at the ranch full-time. Walter and Margaret had 7 children, 6 of who were born while living at the Empire Ranch. The land holdings of the Empire Ranch grew to over 100,000 acres, covering an area from the Rincon Mountains down to Patagonia. In 1896, Walter Vail moved his corporate headquarters and family to Los Angeles. Sadly, in 1906, Walter was killed in a streetcar accident. Vail and his heirs operated the ranch until 1928, when it was purchased by the Chiricahua Ranches Company, owned by Henry, Frank, and Charles Boyce. Frank Boyce, his wife Mary, and sons Frank, better known as Pancho, and Bob moved to the Empire Ranch in 1929. Frank Boyce died in 1956, and his oldest son Pancho took over ranching operations at the Empire Ranch. The Boyce family sold the Empire Ranch in 1969 to Gulf American Corporation, which planned to build a large residential community development. Pancho and his son Steve Boyce continued ranching operations under a lease agreement with Gulf American. In 1974, Gulf American sold the Empire Ranch and other land holdings to Animax Mining Company for its water rights and mineral potential. Animax leased the ranching rights to John Donaldson. The BLM acquired ownership of the ranch house in 1988 as part of the Empire Cienega Conservation Area, totaling over 45,000 acres. In 2000, it was redesignated as Las Cienegas National Conservation Area. John Donaldson and his son Mac and grandson Sam continued their lease with BLM until March 2009. Ian Tomlinson, manager of the Vera Earl Ranch in Sonoyta, took over the ranching lease in 2009 and continues in that role as of 2021. We'll start by leading you through the sections of the ranch house, giving you a brief description of the room uses and telling you a bit more about the history of the Empire Ranch. The ranch house was built in several phases, and we'll start in the 4-room structure that was purchased by Vail and Hislop. This is the north entrance to the Saguan, or breezeway. It was the only entry to the corral that originally stood attached to the south end of the house. Stock was penned in the corral at night, and the only way for a thief or predator to reach the animals was to pass by the doorways, where Vail, Hislop, Harvey, and others were sleeping. A screened meat cooler stands in the shade of the hall. Sides of beef hung in the cooler during colder months. The shallow concrete basin at the southeast corner of the Saguan had a wood frame draped with burlap which was kept wet, providing evaporative cooling for milk, butter, and eggs. The first room on the right, Room 1, as you enter the Saguan, was originally used as a bedroom by Walter Vail or Herbert Hislop. The Boyces used this room as their supply commissary. Note the fireplace, which was the primary source of heating in this room. The round hole in the chimney indicates that at some point a wood-burning stove was placed in front of the fireplace and vented through the hole. We'll explain the use of the compressor you see next to the fireplace a bit later. The room's ceiling is of typical southwestern construction. Wood beams called vigas crossed by 1-inch latillas or wood sticks. The original roof over this portion of the ranch house was flat and made of dirt. In the 1890s, a gabled corrugated metal roof was added above the earthen roof. We're now going across the hall to room 3 that was originally used as a bedroom by Walter Vail or Herbert Hislop. The room was later used as the Cowboys' quarters during the Vail and Boyce eras. It now contains part of our Cowboy Life exhibit, which was funded by the Arizona Humanities Council. During the late 1940s, 2 cowboys lived in this room. One bed was placed in the northwest corner. The second bed was in the southeast corner where you see the closet. We're now going to take the connecting door into room 6, which was used by Vail and Hislop as a storeroom and by the Vails as the company store. In the 1930s, the Boyces made the room into cowboy quarters, and it was used by the foreman. In this photo, you can see another method of heating, a gas radiator. Natural gas came to the ranch in the 1940s when El Paso Gas built its pipeline to Tucson. The cowboy bath in room 7 was added in 1948. This room now houses the rest of the Cowboy Life exhibit, including the wonderful old exhibit case that was originally in the Fairbank General Store. We're now going back across the Saguan to room 4. That was initially used as the kitchen and became the dining room for the Vail Cowboys around 1878. We're using this older photo of the cowboy dining room to show the bracing that was present in all the rooms of the original ranch house prior to the 2017-2018 stabilization project. Once the roof was anchored to the walls and the foundations were reinforced, all the bracing was removed. Between 15 and 20 men, including cowboys and other hired help, ate their meals here. Ranchers and other travelers to Tucson were welcome to stop for a cup of coffee or a meal. The meat refrigeration unit was added in the 1950s when Tucson Electric Power finally reached the ranch. We saw the compressor for the cooler in the first room we entered. Around 1878, an addition to the original ranch house was begun in order to accommodate their growing operations. We're going to take the connecting door into room 10, the cowboy kitchen. A cook prepared meals for the cowboys and staff in this kitchen. Just outside the east kitchen door hung a dinner bell. In this picture, you can see Henry Boyce and cowboy cook Ruby Barnett on the left. Sherry Boyce holds the screen door, and her daughters Sherry and Kitty are standing with a cowboy in the Saguan south entrance. Cooking was done on a cast-iron wood-burning stove, which was located to the left of the Hoosier cabinet. The next room to the south is room 11, the office. Walter Vail used this room as an office while conducting his business and political affairs. He locked his whiskey in the office safe when he was away from the ranch, but not money. The Boyce family also used this room as an office, and the safe was used to store the company's books and records. Note the nice wood flooring. The maps on display show the growth and extent of Empire Ranch land holdings. This is the only room at the ranch house that is locked. You can only enter during docent tours or events. Next in line is room 12 that was used by the full-time bookkeeper during the Vail era. It was used as a guest room and parlor by the Vails and the Boyces. The room is currently furnished as a Victorian parlor. We think that this 1880s photo of Margaret Vail was taken in this room. The ceiling in this room is much more sophisticated than the ones in the original section of the ranch house. The Vails had more money and lumber was more readily available. The cloth strips you see hanging from the ceiling are evidence of a manta. Mantas consisted of some type of cloth draped under the ceiling. They were commonly used in adobe structures with earthen roofs to protect occupants from falling dirt from the roof. As we step outside on the east side of the rear addition, you'll see in this 1885 photo, Cook's Wing, under construction, Note the doorways on the right. This photo of the same area shows that the doorways to the rooms we just visited were replaced by windows, and the doorways were moved to the west side of the room. A roof has also been added to cover the rear hall between the cook's wing and the main house. This 1940s photo shows a covered saddle rack that existed into the 1980s where tack and daily use was kept. We're going to take a quick look into room 18 that the Vales used as a pantry. During the Boyce era, it was used as a laundry. This section of wall was left exposed to show the original adobe bricks that the house is constructed from. We also see two types of plaster used to cover the bricks. The green arrow points to a mud plaster that was applied to create a smooth interior wall. The red arrow points to a cement plaster applied in the 1930s. The covering was thought to provide protection for adobe bricks, but cement plaster cannot breathe and traps moisture between the plaster and the bricks. The moisture will erode the adobe over time. During the stabilization project, a large percentage of the cement plaster was removed and replaced with a breathable lime plaster. We're now going to spend some time in the section of the ranch house we call the Victorian Addition, rooms 19 through 23 and 29. We believe that 3 rooms of this addition were built by John Harvey for his future wife. Originally, this portion of the house was not connected to the rest of the house. Take a look at the front porch and the bay window in this 1920s photo of the Victorian addition. Walter Vale added the bay window as a wedding present for his wife Maggie. As you can see in this current photo, the porch looks much the same, but the bay window has larger panes of glass. The Boyce family remodeled the Victorian addition in the early 1950s, including the bay window. We're now standing in the living room. When the Boyces remodeled, the ceiling was lowered, paneling was added, and the shelving unit you see to the right of the fireplace was installed to cover a doorway that led from this room into the master bedroom to the south. In this 1880s photo, you can see the doorway that was covered. Here's a view of the bay window from the inside. The house you see up on the hill is called the New Ranch House. It was built in the 1950s for Pancho Boyce and his family. A timeline of Empire Ranch history is installed on the east wall of the living room. Let's now go into room 22, the master bedroom. This room still has the original high ceilings and has an exhibit of the families of the Empire Ranch on its walls. The doorway you see leads to the master bathroom, which was added by the Vales in the early 1910s. Back in the bedroom in this view, on your left you can see where the doorway into the living room was located. Next, let's go into room 23, the middle or guest room. Various family members and guests used this room, and it was also Pancho and Bob Boyce's bedroom when they were youngsters. The middle room is currently furnished with dining room furniture. The French doors on the right lead to the sleeping porch. The door straight ahead leads to the children's addition. This view shows the doorways from the middle room into the master bedroom and living room. Room 21 was used by the Boyce and Vale families as a dining room. It was originally a porch that was enclosed during the Vale era. The ceiling was lowered and wood paneling was added by the Boyce family in the 1950s. The large glass windows and door were added by the Boyces. Through the windows you can see the dead man bracing, which helped to hold up the walls of the ranch house prior to the stabilization project. In this 1930s photo, you can see what the dining room north wall looked like before remodeling. We're now going into room 17, the family kitchen. The Vale and Boyce family meals were prepared in this kitchen. Modernizations including metal cabinets and breakfast nook were made by the Boyce family in the 1950s. Room 14 next to the kitchen is the cook's quarters. A full-time cook prepared family meals for the Vales. During the Boyce period, this room was used as a kitchen pantry. Now we're going to visit the children's addition, rooms 24 through 28. This is the only section of the ranch house not constructed of adobe. Room 25 was a large L-shaped bedroom used by the Vale children. The door straight ahead leads outside to the stone corral area. You access this room from the middle room. The door on the right leads to a large cedar closet which Ed Vale used as a darkroom at one time. We have children's toys on display in this room. Adjacent to the bedroom is room 26, a bathroom, which still houses an original zinc bathtub. Next is room 27, the guest room or the bedroom for the children's nanny or governess. Steve Boyce's wife Annie used it as her sewing room. The Vales converted the original small porch on the children's addition room 28 into a sleeping porch in the 1920s. The building you can see to the south is the adobe hay barn. Here you can see how the adobe wall of the middle room attaches to the wood frame addition. We're now going to go outside and take a look at the areas surrounding the ranch house. On the east side, we have the family landscape. Unfortunately, we currently cannot maintain the lush types of gardens that the family installed, especially Mary Boyce, who was an avid gardener. Here are a series of photos of what it looked like in the 1950s. The arbor area south of the master bedroom and west of the sleeping porch. The swimming pool installed by the Boyces. At one point, Mary landscaped one area with cactus. As the trees matured, it was later replaced with grass. Across the yard area from the ranch house is the Huachuca House, which is now our visitor contact station. It was moved from Fort Huachuca around 1950 and turned into a home for Bob and Miriam Boyce. Here's a better view of the new ranch house we mentioned earlier. The east side of the original ranch house comprises the working landscape. This is a view of the house corral. There used to be a covered saddle rack where the tack in daily use was kept. The stone corral has been used for over a century on this working ranch. The Vales used it for their stallion. The Boyces primarily used it for storage of wood and other materials. The concrete block supported a pump engine that was used to cut wood. Here you can see how the stone corral attaches to the children's addition and the door the kids could use to escape unnoticed into the corral area. The tack room is used to store saddles, tack, and other equipment for the carrying of horses. The small corral is called the breaking corral, and it used to have a snubbing post in the center. Please watch the many iconic Western movies that have been filmed on or near Empire Ranch, including Red River with John Wayne and Walter Brennan, The Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood, 3:10 to Yuma with Glenn Ford, and over 37 other films. The ranch house is open at all times for self-guided tours. We're always making improvements to this historic treasure, and we'd love to see you out here just to look around or to attend one of our many fun-packed yearly events. For more information and to become a valuable member of the historic Empire Ranch, please visit our website at empireranchfoundation.org.